It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us and starting the morning off with us. Now, it's widely known that September is International Deaf Awareness Month. But most people still believe that children who are born deaf will grow up never knowing how to hear or speak. And here to dispel that myth are the key representatives of the Carel du Toit Centre. We have with us Adri Kombrink, who's the principal at the Carel du Toit Centre, and then Susan Ekstein, who also joins us as audiologist at the centre. Thank you for being here, ladies.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit, Audrey, about the Carel du Toit Centre?
The Carel du Toit Centre is a very special and unique place, and it's where miracles happens every day. We teach young deaf children to speak instead of using sign language. So once a young baby is diagnosed with a hearing loss and fitted with technology, hearing technology, then they get referred to our centre. And then we help the parents first how to work with this baby. We give them the choice of do they want to go the sign language route or the oral language route, and then if they want to go oral, that's what we do. So we help them to help their baby to speak. And so we have a early intervention centre for the parents, that's called CHAT, Children Hear and Talk. And then once they're about 2.5, they move over to the preschool where we follow the mainstream curriculum, CAPS, like in any other school. And from there they go to grade 1 to 3 in our school, and then we finish, and then they can go to big school.
Wow. I mean, you talk about a place where miracles happen every day. That's exactly what that is, to be able to give a child the gift of hearing. So now that we're learning and we're dispelling a lot of the myths that surround hearing loss or hearing impairment, does a child who has hearing impairment have the same capacity to acquire functional spoken language as a hearing child?
Yes, I think the good news is that a child that is hearing impaired, but that is identified with a hearing loss early and who actually is able to access sound through adequate technology, are really able to develop listening and spoken language equivalent to their hearing peers. And that is really exciting, but it is also important to say that it truly is a neurodevelopmental emergency. And we say that because of brain plasticity, and there's a critical period of listening and spoken language development through hearing. So it is really important for us to identify hearing loss early. So we actually talk about the gold standard. The early hearing detection and identification gold standard is that every single baby should be screened by 1 month of age. If the hearing loss is present, we really want it to be diagnosed by 3 months of age, and that baby should access intervention by 6 months of age. So that is the gold standard. And as an audiologist, we will then do a diagnostic test in which we try to determine and will determine the degree and the nature of the hearing loss. And according to our findings, we will fit the child with the appropriate technology, and that might be a cochlear implant or hearing aids or bone-anchored hearing aids. And the goal of giving a child technology is really to give them access to sound. And we want sound to reach the brain as soon as possible. And that is possible because we have newborn hearing screening, which is really exciting. And the biggest problem, I think, is the lack of awareness out there under the general public in terms of the signs and the risk factors of hearing loss.
Okay. Well, I actually wanted to ask you, I'm looking at the statistic that 17 infants are born with hearing loss in South Africa. What are some of the early signs a parent should be looking out for?
That's a good question, and it's so sad because hearing loss is so often missed, especially in that early years of a child's life, and that is because of the invisible nature of a hearing loss. So it is really important to also describe hearing loss in terms that there's different degrees of hearing loss. I think people out there would think you're either normal hearing or you are completely deaf, which is not the case. So sometimes a child or an adult have a degree of a hearing loss, say a mild to moderate hearing loss. That means that they can still hear certain sounds, but they actually miss out on spoken language and speech sounds necessary to develop speech. So that is definitely a factor. And another factor is that children are so smart in how they compensate, and they really use all the other sensory systems, especially their visual system, to get by, and that also makes it difficult to detect hearing loss. I think a very I think a very general, well-known risk factor is family history of hearing loss.
Yes.
Okay.
But it is important to know that 90% of children born with a hearing loss are born to normal hearing parents.
Okay.
I tell you what, we're going to ask you to stay with us because, I mean, clearly you are an encyclopedia of knowledge, the two of you, and we can't wait to learn more about this from you. So we're going to keep our lines open. 0214309881. Give us a call. September is International Deaf Awareness Month, and we're dispelling all of the myths around what people believe and the perspectives that they hold.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
All right, we're back again for our Tuesday medical chat because September is International Deaf Awareness Month, and we're joined this morning by Audrey and Susan from the Carel du Toit Centre, and also Maradia, who is here, a student at the Carel du Toit Centre. Thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Well, we need to find out a little bit about you, Maradia. So can you tell us a little bit more about you, like your full name and how old you are?
My name is Meridia Ajam, and I am 9 years old.
And tell me about when you went to the Carel du Toit Centre.
I started at the Carel du Toit Centre when I was 4 years old.
And why did you have to go to the Carel du Toit Centre?
I had to go to the Carel du Toit Centre because I couldn't hear without a hearing aid and a cochlear implant.
Yeah.
I had to learn to speak and listen.
Yeah, yeah. And what are the teachers like there at the Carel du Toit Centre? And you're allowed to be honest, are they nice to you? Are they good?
Some of the teachers are strict and some of the teachers are not strict.
That's exactly what I would have expected to hear. So tell me about the cochlear implant that you wear.
Last year, August, I got a cochlear implant because I couldn't hear properly with my right ear. A cochlear implant on the inside of my head is a magnet which I had to go under an operation for. The magnet to be put in.
Yeah.
They put electrodes into my ear and then they put, what do you call those things that gets left behind and the electrodes get pulled out slowly without bringing the thing that gets put in there.
That's a very technical term, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
there you go. But it's your electrodes and your implant, and then on the outside she's got a processor with a coil that actually helps. So that picks up the sound through microphones, and then it gives the sound through.
The sound goes into my ear and from there it goes all the way from the eardrum to my brain. So my brain picks up the sound and then my brain tells me what it is.
Oh, Maradia, you are so clever. Are you going back to school after this, or do you get to skip school for the day?
You can hang out with us here. But I wanted to know, Maradia, so how did you understand? Because it sounds like a very complicated process. Did somebody explain it to you? How the cochlear implant works and...
My cochlear implant audiologist at the hospital, she told my mommy that how the thing works.
Yeah.
She said that to put the thing on, you press on this button and count to 3. And then if it's shining green, then it's on. If it's shining orange, then it's off. Actually, then it's flat.
Then it's...
Then it's flat. So it's something you need to charge. How often do you take it out?
Every night, I change the battery. I take the battery off and then I charge it. But my mommy actually does that.
Okay.
There's times when my mommy doesn't do it, then I do it.
Okay.
That is
So
awesome.
responsible.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm just kind of thinking, ladies, is this part of the support that is provided by the centre where you not only help the young one understand exactly the process that's going on with the connection between their ear and the cochlear implant and the parents for them to understand too? Is that all part of the process?
Yes, because once the child is diagnosed, there's a stage of grief. There's a lot of emotional reactions to that, how to deal with a disabled child. So we help the parent to go through that process. And once they get the hearing technology, we have to explain to them how it works, why it's important, how they need to take care of it, and how then to help the parent, to help the child to acquire natural spoken language.
Okay. I have a question. How often does it need to be changed? Because, I mean, in terms of your ear size and growth, and how often is a device like that changed?
So that's a good question, and it's really very dynamic in terms of how to answer that. So especially in young children, you can imagine at the rate they grow, we really often have to retake the ear mold, which is the little part that goes into the ear because the ear grows rapidly. But then we also often do hearing tests in which we monitor the hearing loss. Because the hearing loss can also be progressive in nature, meaning that hearing thresholds can deteriorate. And that's why, for instance, Marodia started out with 2 hearing aids, but she got to a point where the hearing aid did not provide enough amplification for her to hear enough sound, and therefore she had to be considered for a cochlear implant. So we really have to monitor the hearing and make decisions based on the outcomes.
Okay.
But she will wear that cochlear for the rest of her life, and maybe in a few years get an upgrade, but only on the outside, not on the inside.
Okay.
And Marodia has been a star on the set. Everyone loves you. Everyone just wants to chat to you, and she wants to chat to everyone. And we'll be back again very shortly with the ladies talking about International Deaf Awareness Month, which is the month of September. And our lines are still open, 0214309881. Give us a call with any comments or questions you may have.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is Expresso. September is known as International Deaf Awareness Month, and that is what our medical chat is all about. We are joined by Susanne from the Carel du Toit Centre, as well as Lynn Kluter, part of the marketing and fundraising part of the Carel du Toit Centre, and of course, Marodia is still with us this morning. Good morning, ladies.
Hi.
Well, our lines are still open if you've got a comment or a question, so feel free to call us. That number is 0214309881. In fact, we've got a caller right now from Maureen. Good morning, Maureen.
Good morning.
Hi, what's your comment or question for Susanne?
I'm wondering who funds these children and where do they need a good medical aid or how's it done financially?
Thank you.
Great
for
question.
that.
Okay, so I also think if we have to answer it in terms of technology, so for instance, cochlear implants and hearing aids, it is covered by many medical aids, but we do see a vast majority of our children that's actually from the state sector. So there are great audiological departments in government hospitals, and the government also funds, Marodia got hers from Tygerberg Hospital cochlear implant unit. So they do also fund the hearing aids and cochlear implants as needed, but we have limited funds and limited resources. So I think Lynn will also be able to add to our centre specifically and to help these families access early intervention and schooling.
Yeah, because I think that's what we want to learn about, and I'll come back to you very shortly about when hearing impairment is identified, especially in Marodia's case. But if the public wants to get involved and really help you do the work that you are doing so phenomenally, because I am incredibly moved by the story, how do I become a part of the Carel du Toit Centre and what it is that you do?
Okay, so the Carel du Toit Trust is the fundraising arm of the Carel du Toit Centre.
Yeah.
And the Carel du Toit Trust basically ensures that the centre is able to operate. So just to give you a quick figure, it costs around 270,000 Rand for a cochlear implant.
Okay.
Sure.
And government only funds around 16% of the operational costs of the centre. And so the trust really is set up to ensure that every child has the access that they need to the methodology and technology. And so if the public would like to get involved, well, please do get involved, we beg you. It's because of Generous Hearts that we're able to do what we do.
Yeah.
They can contact me directly. It's Lynn Kluter at 021-933-4578. Or alternatively, visit our website. Our number's on there. There are various ways of giving on our website as well. And that's www.careldutoit.co.za.
And as far as students that want to enroll, do they have to be referred, or is it just as simple as a school application? They apply to come to the Carel du Toit Centre?
That's also a good question. So yes, we definitely take referrals from audiologists, from even self-referrals. Sometimes parents phone themselves. We get children from the private sector as well as the government sector. So it mostly comes from audiologists, but parents can self-refer. And often we get families in that just heard of us by word of mouth.
Yeah. I asked you earlier on during the break, Susanne, when it was that Marodia's hearing impairment was identified and what role that time frame plays in making sure that there's a successful procedure that's performed that yields great results that we see in her.
So Marodia's hearing loss is also not unique in the sense that it was a progressive hearing loss. And we've touched on signs of hearing loss earlier, and I think that makes it really hard to detect the hearing loss early enough. So she was diagnosed at the age of 4 years old, which is actually considered old if you consider the critical period.
Yes.
But she had a progressive hearing loss, and her little brother, Khamim, also has a hearing loss, and he's 5 years old. He's in our school, but he was identified when he was a baby. So we could do our newborn hearing screening on him. We could identify and diagnose him very early, and he's really doing very well as well. So yes, that hearing test is objective. So we can determine the integrity of the hearing organ, which is the cochlea, and also the auditory nerve up to the point of the brainstem by doing these objective measures with specialized testing. And that really helps.
And Maridia, is Khamim a good little brother?
Yes, but sometimes he is naughty.
I can only imagine. Well, we'll be back a little bit later with Maridia and the ladies from the Carel du Toit Centre. Our lines do remain open, so feel free to call us. If you've got a comment or a question, the number is 021 430 9881.